Welcome to our program devoted to changing the conversation about our generation, millennials. I'm Ariana Nickmanish from the University of Colorado, Denver.
And I'm Kimberly Neville of Eastern Oregon University in La Grande, Oregon.
We're the co-hosts along with 4 other women from around the country who are part of a nationwide movement known as the National Millennial Community. Ladies, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Jade Murphy from UNC Greensboro in Greensboro, North Carolina.
I'm Jordan Crowley, and I attend Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah.
I'm Kayla, and I attend Cal State Northridge.
I'm Audrey Moore, and I'm at DePaul University in Chicago.
Today we are having a conversation about how we can bring the country back together.
So ladies, how do each of you feel that we can bring the country back together?
I'm going to jump in on that first one. And ladies, I think it's starting a respectful conversation. I think the best way to go about starting that respectful conversation is to ask why. And keep in mind, when you're asking why, you're not asking so that someone asks you. You're asking so you can learn about this person, so you can respect them, so you can hear them, and so you can grow not only as an individual, but as a relationship between 2 human beings. Humans are known to just have a common connection. And I think the best way to go about unifying these humans and all of us together is to just be respectful and ask why. I mean, you could like pineapple on your pizza. I personally don't, but I mean, I'm gonna ask you why. I'm not gonna ask you why in a judgmental way, like, why would you like pineapple on your pizza, Jordan? Why? But I'm gonna say, Jordan, why do you like pineapple? Why do you like it on your pizza? And I'm gonna hear from you, and you could absolutely love pineapple, girl, and it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna say, you know what, I respect that. I like that, and I'm gonna grow from that. Maybe I'll try it next time when I'm with you. And I think that is absolutely the first step.
Definitely.
You know, Audrey, I love that you gave that example of the pineapples. It was very funny, but I think you have a very good point. I think oftentimes we don't ask people their story. We start to assume their story for them.
Exactly, yes.
And when we assume, sometimes we assume incorrectly, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had it happen to me. I've done it myself. I won't act high and mighty about it. I've done it, and I'm learning from it, absolutely.
Now I want pizza.
And to kind of second off of what Audrey said, I think that once you actually understand and listen to what someone has to say, you find common ground, and that may not be about that person's beliefs or values, but you create a common ground of mutual respect, and that environment is really important. I also think that, you know, perseverance among millennials and every generation is important. Past generations have molded our future to sit here today, and I think that, you know, for the sake of my younger brother and my younger sister, it's important for me to persevere and get past some of these things that have been going on in the world today, and kind of give them that example if they have to face that in their future. And, you know, hopefully, you know, persevering through, you know, trying times, and, you know, kind of what we're doing right now will inspire future generations to do the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really appreciate your perspective because I'm the youngest in my family, and so that's something that I hadn't really thought of, is looking forward to Gen Z and how they're going to get through things, and they're looking to millennials as role models, really.
Right.
And we have to be that role model that says, it's okay, our nation is fine, we all still love America, and we're all still Americans. And that's the important part, is that we have to come together and really set an example, but also for ourselves, because it's not a fun place to be when we're feeling disrespected, and there's a level of hate going on in our nation that we really need to try to bandage.
I definitely agree with you, Kim, on that.
And you know, you bringing up your little siblings, it reminded me of how unique of an experience it was this past election for me and my baby brother to vote for the first time. We're spread out enough in age that I never thought that something that monumental would happen, but we were raised in the same household, and people may put the same like labels on us. However, we voted for different people, and we don't hold the same political beliefs necessarily. And yet, these labels would make a lot of people assume that we're just cookie cutters, we're the same. It's kind of natural for humans to make snap decisions and snap judgments and immediately label someone, saying, oh, you're a progressive, well, are you just going to let everything happen? Or, well, you're traditional, so you're just so set in your ways. But I don't know why that is. I don't know why we always have to be labeling someone, and that's the end of it. we're going to do it. We have that implicit bias where we have these immediate reactions to people, but if we just own that and we accept it and think, okay, I know that this is what I have heard about this type of person, but who are they really? Again, asking why and looking to who they really are and not just what the label says that they are. That is going to bring our country together in a way that we've never before seen.
Jordan, that was beautiful, absolutely. My sister and I had the same experience. She is very liberal, and I not so much. And we had that same little, even in our own household, you could feel that little disconnect, even though we still love each other and respect each other. It was still there because we didn't talk to each other about it. I think we both were just kind of like, well, I mean, we're sisters, but you're going to do your thing, I'm going to do mine. We didn't really take the time to connect over that little thing that's really not so little.
Yeah. We'll go home and fix it.
Right? Yeah. I'll head on the plane right now.
That's the challenge, right? These conversations are not easy. None of this is easy. And I think I really appreciate, Jordan, that you recognize that we're humans. We do judge. We have our biases, but what can make our country great again and what can really bring our country together is that we evaluate those biases. We say, you know what, I may have this idea, but let me challenge it.
Exactly.
Even though it may be tough, let me start a continuous dialogue to really understand the other side.
Definitely.
100%.
Cool. Right. I just wanted to add to that, and by challenging those biases, we have to get a little bit uncomfortable. So if it's, while we're waiting for our coffee at Starbucks, while we're, sitting next to somebody we don't know on the bus, it's those little moments where, it might take a little bit of courage just to you say, hey, what are you drinking? Or what's your favorite drink? Or where are you heading to? Those moments matter, and we'll get to know each other a little bit more through those.
Absolutely, I love that, because you're going to start with small things, like asking about a coffee or asking about pineapple. You can't just dive right into, hey, who'd you vote for? Why'd you vote for them? You got to build that up a little bit, and you have to find that level of respect and comfortability and that stable environment, because then you can really have that good progressive conversation and learn.
Yeah, be friends first.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, speaking of being friends first and having an uncomfortable experience, talking about some heavy things, Ariana, you and I met in New York City.
We did.
In June, and we had one of those uncomfortable experiences, although we were friends first. And that's something that is kind of cool, so I'll tell our story. We were at a corporation in New York on a trip, and they asked us in the meeting, what are your political views? And so they asked each of us, right? Yeah, same thing, and it's a heavy thing. They asked the Hillary supporters to raise their hands if they felt that they were going to vote for her, and the same thing for Bernie Sanders. He was still in the running at the time. And then the same thing for Donald Trump. However, between the Hillary and Bernie supporters, they asked why. Why are you choosing Hillary, and why are you choosing Bernie? And then after Donald Trump, there was no asking why. And Ariana had raised her hand for Bernie Sanders, which I was like, okay, I didn't know that. And I had risen my hand for Donald Trump. And she, I think, did the same thing. And in that moment, we made eye contact. And there was a level of judgment. And
We had a moment.
we had a moment that was not a fun moment to be in. It was a very heated, intense moment. And although we were friends, we judged each other because we didn't know that. So after this conversation, after the meeting, I was very frustrated in that my voice was not being heard. And Ariana approached me on the way out of the meeting, and she said, "What's up? Like, I see your body language. What's up? Why are you upset?" And I said, I'm done with the national millennial community. I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, I don't feel like I'm belonging. I don't feel like I'm representative of our millennials anymore. Like maybe I'm a Gen Xer in a millennial body. And she said, no, absolutely not. And she said, if you feel that you aren't being heard, that's when you need to roar. And that to me it changed my life. That one-liner just dropped a bomb on me. And we had a conversation, a full-blown, heated conversation nonetheless, but respectful. And she asked me, why, Kim? Why do you vote for Donald Trump? And I told her my reasons, and then I did the reciprocal, and I said, Ariana, why do you feel that you want to vote for Bernie Sanders? And so we understood each other more on a personal level. And it was more than politics, and it was more than issues. It said, okay, you grew up as a Middle Eastern woman, and I had never witnessed a Middle Eastern woman before. And in my head, there was this stigma of what that looked like. And it didn't look like Ariana to me, so I was like, oh, okay, that's new. That's a new thing for me.
the same thing happened to me. I had this ideology of what a Trump supporter looked like. and then you meet Kim, and it's kind of hard to, you know, have judgments about people and their ideologies when you have a face that matches, you know, that ideology. So, you know, our story, it's sad, but it's a seldom one. The reason it's seldom is because we had to challenge ourselves to have a conversation that was difficult, right?
Right.
And I firmly believe if the nation was able to do this, Kim, if we were all able to just for a moment, just listen, not to be heard, not to be judged, but just to be listened to, like truly authentically listened to, I feel like we could bring the nation together.
Absolutely.
We assume people's stories, Kim. You assumed what it meant for me to be a Bernie supporter, and I assumed for you what it meant to be a Trump supporter. And when it was completely wrong, it changed the way we looked at everybody else in the United States.
So ladies, you could say you grew from this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the key, is to learn from this and grow.
Yeah. And I would like to add as well that one conversation in my life has now compounded, and that I have this conversation with a lot of people. And when the election was happening, in the heat of it, and even after the results came out, I look at people that were upset, and there was students on my campus that were very, very upset, and you know, needed comforting, and I just asked why. Why did you feel the way that you do? I understand and I sympathize. I feel differently, but I respect you enough to listen to you and have that conversation. And now, because of our one conversation in New York City on a bus, we can do that.
I would also like to add, I gained a best friend.
Wow. So, Ariana and I want to thank our colleagues from around the country for joining us today. We also want to thank all of you in the audience for listening in on our conversation. If you'd like to help us change the conversation about millennials in America and also how we can bring this country back together, please visit our website at nationalmillennialcommunity.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts.